Since the All-Star break, the Dallas Mavericks have been the third ranked offense in the league at a 121.1 offensive rating. And a massive contribution to that offensive rating comes from Luka Doncic. Since the All-Star break, Luka Doncic is now leading the league in assists with 11.4 and continuing to lead the league in points at 36.4. So it's safe to say Luka Doncic is considered one of the best players in the league at this point. There are many reasons the Mavericks haven't had the most successful season this year, and a big part of that is obviously injuries. The Mavericks are one of the most injured teams in the league this season so far. Kyrie missed a third of the games, and that obviously made a big impact with one of your highest paid players on the bench. But another issue has been the role players around Luka up to this point had not been playing super well around him. A couple guys would stand out like Dante Exum and Derrick Jones Jr., but like I said before, both of those guys were part of the injury bug that was really hitting the Dallas Mavericks hard. Starting a few games before the deadline, the Mavericks went on a run, followed that up with going 1-5. Now they're on a 3-game win streak again. The Mavericks were able to scrap together several wins in a row when they were not able to do that since the first 10 games of the season. And a big part of that is the new lineups. So new additions, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford have been fantastic, especially PJ on defense, and Gafford has been all over the place, blocking shots, never missing a field goal, just absolutely tremendous. Specifically in these last 3 games, there was a big lineup change, and that was switching from Josh Green and Derek Lively, switching to Derrick Jones Jr. and Daniel Gafford. And I think the biggest addition is going to be Derrick Jones Jr. in the lineup because, yes, Gafford has had several more impressive games than Lively, but in theory, you're getting a couple different things on defense between them. Lively's going to be able to guard in space a little bit better, although I will say Gafford has been doing a pretty good job the last few games. But overall, you're going to get a similar type of game from those two guys. They're as close to interchangeable as you can between a starting center and a bench center in this league. Derrick Jones Jr. over Josh Green, however, that addition gives your point of attack defense a supercharge compared to Josh Green. Now, Josh Green is not a bad defender, but he does struggle getting over screens, finds himself not making the right decision when the Mavericks get sent into rotation, and he can just be a liability sometimes as well as a positive on that end, just depending on the play ran. But Josh Green off the bench is tremendous. Josh Green can bring playmaking off the bench, which can be desperately needed at times. He's going to play good bench defense. He's going to be able to hit his open threes. He can be a connector on offense. He's a good player. But in the starting lineup, especially because you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who are not going to be the best point of attack defenders, Derrick Jones Jr. tremendously helps this Mavericks defense, and that's with getting over screens. If he is unable to stay in front of a guy, he can funnel them towards Lively much better than Green can. And just staying in front of his man in general, he's just going to do a better job. He's more lengthy. I won't say more athletic, but they're both freak athletes. But he does have the frame to go with that athleticism, and that pairs very nicely on defense. And his IQ is just a little bit higher than Josh's on that end of the floor. And in the past 3 games, that has now resulted in 3 wins. So tonight, we're going to see the same starting lineup. But yeah, Derrick Jones Jr. in the starting lineup has, even though he's only played about 15 to 18 minutes a game in these last couple games, that defense that's just really needed to set the tone at the beginning of the game has tremendously helped the Mavericks. Because a big problem the Mavericks will have is getting down early and then going into the fourth playing amazing, but it's just too late. They can't get back in front because they didn't start up until 8 minutes left in the game or 5 minutes left in the game. So Derrick Jones Jr. setting the tone on defense, Gafford in there as the rim protector, and especially with Derrick Jones Jr., Gafford pairs really well because he sits fairly deep in the drop. Derrick Jones Jr. being there to bother the ball handler in the pick and roll, just a much needed help so that Gafford can stay on the roll man or stay low in the drop and also be there to protect the rim, which I've honestly been pretty happy with as far as how the lineups can be thrown together currently. And for a 3-game sample size, we're doing pretty solid. Tonight we have another test against the Golden State Warriors, and it will be nice to see that lineup facing up against a Warriors team who, despite in several games Steph Curry underperforming, which he's also performed well in several of those games, but they still won. So they've been on a hot streak. Let's see how the Mavericks can face off against them. We've seen how the Mavericks have gone against teams that have been on hot streaks before. So that lineup, we will see if that continues and we can get a little bit of a larger sample size to judge how the Mavericks are going to run the lineups moving forward into the playoffs. Now, very sad news, Olivier Maxence Prosper will not be in the lineup tonight against the Warriors. But let's hope that in this first half, we can see this newfound starting lineup come out swinging, put them down 20, and let's see some good, solid, hearty minutes. Let's see what this team is meant to do. This team is meant to get us out in front, beat down the teams we need to beat so we can make it up in the standings, and we can see what the young guys have to offer against these teams whenever they're not fully healthy or they're not able to keep up with us. I will most likely be back tomorrow with a recap of tonight's game. I really want to hone in on these last 17 games to see where the Mavericks can realistically land in the standings. Because as a Mavericks fan, obviously, Luka Doncic's MVP case, I think this would be an awesome year to be his first year. But as well, I would love to see Luka win his first MVP. I would love to see the Mavericks avoid the play-in if all possible. But you know, that 3rd and 4th seed option does not look too good at this point in time. And if you want to sit back and think about it, who would you rather face in the first round? The Nuggets or the Thunder? The Timberwolves or the Clippers? Well, I guess we'll see. See ya.